and welcome to another episode of the Founderology podcast. I'm Kathleen Wood, founder of Kathleen Wood Partners, and where we are experts in propelling founder-led brands to new levels of success, and also the co-host and founder of the Founderology Growth Summit, the only founder-to-founder experience in the industry where we connect like-minded visionary restaurant founders together to connect, to grow, and accelerate their businesses. And if you don't know me by now, come on now. You've listened to a lot of these podcasts. You should get to know me, as I have had the amazing opportunity to chat with trailblazers, innovators, and game changers who are building brands to break through. And today, I'm super excited about our guest, the visionary behind Topsail Steamer, Danielle Mahon, who has built a breakthrough brand around one powerful idea: connections. What started out as a single seaside kitchen has become a national movement of bringing people together through the joy and power of shared experiences while cracking into steam pots filled with fresh seafood. From Topsail Island to Shark Tank and beyond, Danielle continues to redefine what it means to build a brand with heart, purpose, and built to break through. Danielle, welcome to the Founderology podcast.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It's really great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it is so awesome to have you. We have so much to talk about today, but I always think that it's great to always start with the origin story. Like you start with, like, what gives you the idea to start a national movement about, seafood steam pots? I mean, just in its of itself is a great beginning.
Well, I think my origin story probably starts from when, I was growing up, and I'm originally from Southern New Jersey, and our summers were all about going down the shore. That's what they call it in that part of the world. And, with family. And some of my earliest memories are crabbing and then picking blue crabs, right? And always putting out the brown paper on the picnic table and picking crabs. So I think for me, that just was one of my favorite memories and something we love to do. So, growing up, as I became an adult, my beach experiences a lot of times were surrounded by going to the seafood market and buying seafood and sitting around the table with friends and family. But the actual idea for Topsail Steamer, it sparked, I was on a girls' trip with my mom and my sisters, and this was in 2016. And we actually it was off season. So it was February, and we went to the Outer Banks, February or March. And so, not a typical time where it's very crowded. And we were at a full service restaurant having lunch. And I just noticed a stream of people coming in and out to a takeout counter. And this particular restaurant, what they did was they were building Lowcountry boils, in those black and white lobster pots, right? For customers to come and get and then bring home and then bring the pot back the next day. And I would say for me, that's just kind of when the light bulb went off, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is such a great idea. And I think that, it can be a business all on its own, not attached to a full service restaurant or a seafood market. And for me, I think it brought together everything that I really loved, like fresh seafood, simple preparation, and then just, gathering with the people that, matter most to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a person who's had the opportunity to experience Topsail Steamer myself, the idea of the simplicity of it and then the freshness of it and how it all combines to bring people together, it is really an amazing experience from beginning to end. So that, to me, that's fantastic. When did you know, though, okay, because a lot of people have an idea, right? And then they get their first location open. But there's always this moment, like this big aha moment where they're like, oh my gosh, this actually is going to work. What would you say was your aha moment?
I think for me, I can't take it back to the actual thing that made us say, oh, wow. I think it was that first season, right? I opened in March of 2017. I came from biotech. I mean, my career was in biotech and life science. So I hadn't worked in a restaurant since college. And so, there was a lot of things. Will this concept work? Will I know how to scale or create a hospitality business? How am I gonna wash the dishes? I had to figure out everything. And so that was all going through my mind that first season. But I think what really made us say, wow, I think we've got something here, was really the customer response and the feedback and the repeat customers, right? They didn't just like it, they loved it. I mean, they were just talking about it and sharing it, and the feedback was unbelievable. And so, we got requests. When are you going to bring this to our town? Or how can I get this at home? And it was just a constant flow of that type of feedback and reaction. I think that's when I realized that this was going to be bigger than one location.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And just for those who are listening who may not be familiar with a steam pot, can you just describe what that is and what makes that so magical?
Absolutely. So, we refer to it as a seafood steam pot, but this is a dish that is so cultural, and it's versions of it, and it has different versions and different names as you go all over the US, right? So I'm originally from the Northeast, as I said, and so for us it was more like a clam bake, or a crab pot. You go down to the South and it's a Lowcountry boil or a frogmore stew. And so basically what it is, it's a one pot meal, and it starts with corn and potatoes, and then you add your favorite sausage and a combination of fresh seafood. So for us, our everyday ingredients are little neck clams, fresh shrimp, crabs, scallops, lobster, oysters. You can pick from andouille sausage or kielbasa, and then you get to pick your seasoning too. And you just add water and cook it directly on your stovetop in a pot. So for us, we give you that single-use pot, but the traditional meal is always done in some type of pot, either outside on a grill or a fire, or even in the kitchen.
Yeah, and and thanks for explaining that, because even for me, the culinary skills would not be my highest skill set in my life, but to be able to take that pot, put it on the stove, and like 40 minutes later have this amazing bucket of seafood was, I do say magical because it really was. It's like, wow, this is phenomenal. So Danielle, when you think about Topsail Steamer now, what's your ultimate vision for what you want to do with your brand?
So, I mean, for us, we want to be a household name in seafood. We want to take this, across the country as the go-to experience, right? For anybody who wants to gather with their people, create meaningful moments, have a wonderful seafood feast. That's really, that's for us what we want to be. And, and also the way that we've created this concept, it is definitely about connection, but and spending a little time around the table. Today everybody's running, and everything's fast and quick and grab and go. And so for us, it's yes, it's great for groups, but you can also just if you've got 2 or 3 of your family and you just want to slow it down a little bit and enjoy a little time around the table, we want to provide you that option as well.
So I love the idea of building the national brand for seafood steam pots, and then really having part of that catalyst be that this is the way to bring people back together. And I think that the deliciousness of it, the freshness of it, but then also how you bring people back together for any day, even if it's a Tuesday, it's phenomenal from that perspective. So far in your journey, what do you think's been your biggest breakthrough moment?
Oh, wow. Well, that can be defined in a couple different ways. We had a really very exciting thing happen last year where I got the chance to be on Shark Tank. So that was, in terms of a breakthrough where we just got national exposure and so much interest. That was huge for us. It was a wild experience and so fun and so great. What a learning, even for my team, because as you can imagine, there's so much preparation that you need to put into when you're going to get that type of exposure. So, that was a breakthrough for us. But I would say also, along the way, it was when we realized, and this is similar to the messaging we've already talked about, it's when we realized that we weren't just selling food, right? Like, we were selling an experience and memories, and we really leaned into that. We expanded another one is we expanded through Goldbelly to be able to ship these nationwide. And so, I mean, that just allowed us to really break through in terms of, letting so many more people knowing about us and being able to experience, a Topsail Steamer seafood steam pot. Yeah.
I think this is going to be great. And I should mention too that you are also one of our featured speakers at the Founderology Growth Summit. That's going to be February 2nd through the 4th in Austin, Texas. And because, I know the minute you said Shark Tank, everybody listening probably wants to hear every single thing about that experience because you actually made it on TV. You actually had two sharks that were interested. And I know everyone wants to know what that experience was like, what you learned in that experience. And that's one of the reasons why we're excited about you being a featured keynote speaker at the Founderology Growth Summit, because I know you're going to share a lot of that there. So but if you had to take, two thoughts from both Shark Tank and even the breakthrough idea of going with Goldbelly, what would be your like kind of two key takeaways that you as a founder were like, man, those were breakthrough moments, and here's what I learned from that moment?
Yeah. So, both, they have it's similar, right? So I'll just give you a little background about why we started shipping on Goldbelly. I opened up the first location in 2017, March of 2017. I bootstrapped everything. It was all learning experience, just me. I opened up with me. My two kids at the time were in college. They were my two employees, right? My husband, as I like to lovingly say, kept his day job, but would come over at night, maybe help me mop the floor so I could get home a little earlier and all of that, right? And so it was really a grassroots family affair of like, will this work? Can we do this? Fast forward one more season in September of 2018, this area got we really struggled with Hurricane Florence. And so it took out about 40% of our rental units. And so and I had expanded to two stores. I had a brand new opened Wrightsville store, which is an adjacent market here. And we knew that our tourism was going to be severely impacted for at least 2 seasons. Well, that's really hard when you're starting out and every order matters, and we're bootstrapping it and cash flow, and we're already seasonal. And so I thought, let me figure out a way. Is there a way that I can get these pots to my customers who can't make it to our locations? And so I just started trying to figure out how could I do this? Could I put some ice packs in here? Could we pack it up? And so I decided to start to figure out how to ship it. So I was doing it myself, and we laugh. At the time, if I got like 5 orders, it would take me all day to pack up 5 pots and then figure out how to get them to the FedEx. In fact, I had 2 times I went to FedEx or I went somewhere and put them on the counter, and somebody wound up walking away with them, right? So like I went through all these crazy things about trying to figure it out. So, but we did, and it was working, and we were getting a few orders, and at the time too, there were some they're called I can't remember the name of the fund. There were funds available for people to show resilience in business. If you could show that you could be resilient in the face of hardship like this, and especially since we were on the coast, they were offering loans for you to invest in that. And so I did that. And what came out of it was I would say after about 6 months of doing it, I came across Goldbelly, and I thought, wow, this is for niche operators, small businesses to get their products nationwide. And so at the time I applied, and they were only taking 1% of their applicants. And I sent a pot to Manhattan, and they loved it. And it was great. And I got on their platform, if you can imagine, in February of 2020, right before everything shut down, right? And so and that was a huge opportunity for us because we just, as you can imagine, we spent all of COVID just shipping and shipping and shipping nationwide. We went from, I told you it was all day for me to ship 5. We could ship over 300 in one day. So coming back to your original question, what is it? Like, I think for me is we all face hardship. There's obstacles, but if you can look and try to find opportunity in those obstacles and those challenges, that's really where, the good stuff can be.
Oh my God, I love that. I hope everyone took a note on that, finding the opportunity in obstacles. I mean, yeah. Wow, that was a great mic drop right there, Danielle. So I'm also curious though, as you've been growing, right? What have you experienced, as some of maybe your biggest, those you've obviously endured several challenges, but you've overcome them, because I love that mindset, right? Looking for the opportunity and the obstacle. What would you say have been some of your challenges as you've been trying to scale, Topsail at this point? Or even maybe even in this circumstances, more opportunities as you've been trying to scale, Topsail at this point?
I would say one of the biggest obstacles for us, when we knew we had something, we're like, oh my gosh, we got to take this everywhere, right? We and we still feel that way. There's just so much, because there's nobody else doing what we're doing. And as I said, it's, there's the great aspects of it for, the convenience and the simplicity and the experience and just the really, really good quality food. There's so much there, but so we've been so excited about what we could do, but it's just, how do we do it? Again, it's me and the kids and great employees that I've hired that are, that all started with me before they were probably 21, most of them. And so for us, one of the biggest challenges is, how do we do it, and how do we get the capital to do it? Because first one I opened was with a small family, a loan from my aunt. Second one I did on no interest credit cards. Third one I did on a 401k loan. So then how are we going to continue to do this by bootstrapping? And what really came from that was the realization that one of a really, great way to scale would be to pursue the franchising model, right? And so, the obstacle of how to do it and how are we going to get the money and how do we continue to do this for, there just brought the opportunity of, wow, I think that we would really love, that was a good match for us, because, it allowed us to partner with people who were entrepreneurial and like-minded and who wanted and were equally as excited as we were to bring this thing, nationally.
Yeah. I mean, so powerful. Again, finding the opportunity and the obstacle. I mean, that in my mind is, just, again, it's another show of that, right? Where somebody else could say, well, I think that's the interesting thing about founders is that, somebody else could say, okay, we've gone as far as we can go, but a visionary founder, wow, they are unstoppable, because they will find the opportunity and the obstacle as they go. And, that's one of the things that I was also interested, to know was that what inspires you to want to continue to accelerate the growth of Topsail, especially, given the fact that it's a unique concept, charting a whole new product sort of in customer and segment, in and of itself. So what inspires you to get up every day and not follow those traditional roadmaps that are out there that, quote unquote, everybody uses, but those traditional roadmaps aren't built for everybody to use either.
Yeah. I think you just kind of said it in your question, right? How many people get the opportunity to scale something that is their own category, that is a creation, So for me, just the fact that I have been fortunate enough to be in this position where I've created something that is unique in its own category, and to have the opportunity to pursue every day growing that, like that's what just gets me up in the morning and says, where are we going today, right? And that it's not a traditional food concept, right? That it's and that's exactly why I'm so passionate about scaling it, because of what we're offering to people. I mean, it really is. It's memorable. It's rooted in connection. It's delicious. It's all those things. And that's something that I know speaks to me. I know speaks so loudly to our customers. So how do we let everyone know that this is something that we can offer them? And so, and it, it's just, it also fits seamlessly into like owners' lifestyles, just the details of the mechanics of the business model itself. So all of that, the combination of it all just inspires me to, keep moving forward. And I get really excited about, where we could possibly go with this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. I totally feel that, like, coming off of this on this podcast, which is awesome. Just so that everyone has a little bit more context, how many locations do you currently have right now? And what does that look like?
Yep. So today we have 11 locations that operate. Now, we've got a combination of stores that are very seasonal, that are only open 3 to 4 months a year. And then we have also 12-month-a-year stores. So as it stands today, the majority of our stores are what we call coastal and vacation markets, which is a really, neat opportunity all on its own as well, because we've got a lot of different owners with, different perspectives and lifestyles and needs in terms of, the businesses they want to own. And so we've got some that work really, really hard for 4 months and they do really well and they love it and they move on to something else. And then we've got others that are, working hard 12 months in different areas. So right now we're in the coastal areas, but for us, where we really see the huge growth potential is moving into more of what we're calling metro areas, your typical non-seasonal, non-vacation markets, because what are we? We're a great seafood option. We're convenient. We're, all of those things that people are looking for in food choices, not only on vacation, but at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still love the idea of grab, go home. 40 minutes later, boom, your steam pot's there. And I also love the kind of like diversity of the franchise model, right? If I want to work, if I really want to go at it for 4 months, do extraordinarily well, I suspect, and be able to, then have the next 8 months, that's a beautiful opportunity for someone, as well as if I want to build that base in my community, expand from my base in my community, and really get in there, and build the generation, just as you're building the memories on the coast, you're also building the memories in the, in the urban area too. I think it's, what a great model, what great options, especially for today, where we are in today's world and going forward. I think people are looking for options for how can I have work-life integration my way, not just one way. And I think very powerful from that perspective. Danielle, when you think about being a visionary founder as you are, what do you think is one of the traits for success do you think all visionary founders should have to be successful?
I think you definitely have to have courage, right? I mean, you have to have courage. You have to have the courage to think really big. And you have to have the courage to not be limited by guardrails that someone that came before you made, or that you think that you need to fit in between, right? And so, and then I also think you really need to stay grounded in your purpose, and your why, when things get tough, because and if you can do those two things, I think that's how you that's how you can get up every morning and feel really excited about what's possible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So kind of just pulling a thread with that too, right? Well, how would you describe your mindset as a founder? Because I'm always curious, in my book Founderology, we talked about how founders are wired, differently from everybody else, right? And it's not because they're different, everybody's got their own wiring, but there are some commonalities with visionary founders. So how would you describe your mindset relative to your approach to business?
Yeah, I would say my daily mindset, I would definitely say I am an optimistic person. It's optimism, right? It's the disciplined kind of optimism. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, and I know that, but I think that I choose to see, the opportunities in the challenges, right? And I view things through a positive lens, and I think that that's what helps me keep, my momentum going in the right direction, because as all founders know, this is not easy. I don't even think there's an easy day, to be honest, right? But I think that if you carry that optimistic attitude, that energy, it carries the whole team. It carries through to the customer, the interaction, all of that. And I would say that that's probably, when I think about the trait that shines through the most, is I am very optimistic.
What I love about that though is that disciplined optimism. Because sometimes when people talk about, to your point, when they talk about optimism, they think about it from, Pollyannish and, rainbows, and to your point, but to have that, to be able to balance the two, right? To let the two coexist, I think, also speaks then to, just even as you're telling your story, perseverance, resilience, and the continuation to move it forward. I also think that as you're trying to break into as you are defining a new product category literally in a new space, so to speak, on its own, what would you say to other founders that maybe are in that similar spot with you where everyone's like, well, no, you need to be like this? Because you kind of alluded to that. You need to be like this. You need to do this. What would you say to those founders that are out there that are like, I don't see anybody like me. So am I wrong, or am I sitting on an amazing opportunity? What would you say to those founders?
I would say you are not wrong, because if you feel it and you see it and you can't find anybody around you that's doing what you're doing, you don't need, that is not validation. Finding someone who's doing what you're doing isn't validation that you know that what you're doing is right. It's actually so, and I have been in that trap before, because sometimes as a founder, I could say I'm optimistic and I see all this, but doubt creeps in, no doubt about it, right? And when doubt creeps in, you look for validation, and you don't find it when you've got something that's new and that is unique. So I would say, for me, I have always surrounded myself with people with experience, people whose opinions I value and I trust. And so, and if the feedback from those people in your circle keeps coming back, oh my gosh, yes, this is right. Yes, this is right. Then believe it and go after it. Right. So, and then for me, that's what I think, even though I couldn't find validation in the market, that this works and I can become a national seafood brand and we can innovate in seafood like you haven't seen and all of those things. And I can become a part of every family tradition, which is what I would love to do. I also didn't do that without, involving a lot of people's opinions to see if that felt like that was, a real statement or, true or achievable. So,
yeah. And I love your qualifier though, of people's opinions that had experience in this. I think that to me is the difference maker, right? Because when you're a founder and you're doing something that no one ever said, there is not a lack of people with opinions. And I'm always like, well, what experience do these people have to be able to give that? Like, have they ever done anything? You know what I mean? So I love this. I love that qualifier. And I think that's a very important qualifier, that you sought people with experiences,
yes.
opinions, insights, and expertise, not just the free world. Which
my first part of this, I pitched it to a table full of people I didn't even know, right? But that I had put together through networking, and I pitched it, and that was the first. I think that was the first. I was like, oh, these people they understand food and hospitality and all of that, and they think it's a good idea. But I'll tell you, I had people very close to me, loved ones, who were like, that's never going to work. Right? that's never going to work.
Yeah.
You should not quit your job and do that. Right. And I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna, cause I really do think it will work. But that's the thing. It's okay, because, you got to seek out the right feedback and the right opinions.
Yeah, 100%. And, family and friends, they're the goal is just for them to love you. And I think that's always, unless of course they're a business advisor, but yes, I hear that a lot from founders. They're like, I was shocked by the people closest to me thought that. I'm like, oh my God, okay, then keep going, because they don't have any context to say that. So keep going, which is, fantastic. And I also love the idea of pitching the concept to people that don't know you. Because now you're getting unencumbered feedback from qualified people, which is great.
Yeah, it happened organically. I just had a friend who said, I'm having a dinner. I have a couple people, and how would you like to do it? And I was like, okay. And one of the pieces of advice I'd gotten, and it was somebody who was a multi-unit restaurant owner. He had 15. It was a QSR, and I pitched it to, and he's like, his one advice to me, and he kept saying to me, he's like, think bigger. You got to think bigger. You got to think bigger. And he wanted me to say, like, what is the biggest? Keep going. Give me 5 more biggers. And he took me to that biggest, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's really. That was pivotal for me. There's no doubt about it. The right mentor and the right people, you never realize how one conversation can change your trajectory. And so for me, I've always seen the value in seeking out those types of conversations.
Yeah, I think it's just so powerful, because you can get very locked in, and and really can, that's why I think that they've always said that your net worth is relative to your network, because it's the power of your network that helps you to, think bigger like that. Um, Danielle, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for kind of giving us the little bit of the inside track on all that. It's been great. And I know you and I could talk for even longer and have a lot more conversations about, Topsail Steamer and where it's going and all, so many other areas of this. But believe it or not, it always fascinates me how fast
Oh my
time
gosh.
goes on the Founderology podcast.
Holy
So
moly.
I know, right? It just kind of goes. So
Yeah.
we are on to what I always call my top fast five. So I have
All
five
right.
questions to kind of bring this home on. So the first question I have is, for everyone that either visits the Topsail Steamer or goes on Goldbelly and orders it, what is your favorite bucket or the one bucket that you would say everyone should definitely try?
Well, it's got to be the shark bite. The
Ah,
shark bite we just added this year because it's what I served the sharks on Shark Tank. But
love
it
it.
also it is the only bucket that has every ingredient that we offer. So if you want a taste of everything that is possible for to add into your bucket, go with the shark bite.
Oh my God. Okay. So just for everyone's refresher, you want to tell us all the ingredients of that amazing bucket?
Yes. Yep. So all of our buckets start with corn and potatoes, and the
Yep.
pot itself, cocktail sauce, butter, paper for the table. But the shark bite then has little neck clams, shrimp, snow crab, scallops, lobster tail, kibasi, and andouille sausage.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Everybody get that gold belly out right now. All right. That sounds delicious. And do you have a favorite seasoning that you like to put in your buck? Because I know you offer a variety of seasonings. Do you have a favorite seasoning that you like?
I do. I do. It's the unsung hero of all of the seasonings, but it's my favorite. It's called our herbal blend. It's made with lemon, thyme, and basil. A lot of people go traditional, which is classic seafood seasoning. But the herbal blend, lemon, thyme, and basil, it's like magic on those clams and lobster and scallops. So I would highly recommend giving it a try.
Okay, I on my next bucket, I will be going there because I've kind of been on the Cajun Jimmy's way seasoning. So
Yep.
I will definitely give that a try. What would be one word that would sum up your founder's journey today?
Gratifying.
Oh, that's good. All right, that is a good
Gratifying.
one.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to be on this journey and to have, I'm a late in life entrepreneur. I didn't have the idea for this business until I was 47, I think. And so, it's not so for me every day. I'm so thankful and grateful, and the whole experience has been gratifying. And also, my kids are involved. They've come along, so it's still family based, and to have the opportunity to be able to grow something like this, I'm just very grateful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What is one book you think every founder should read as they go through their journey?
One book. All right, I gotta pick one. I would say for me, since I was a new leader and a founder of teams, and culture is really important to me and
That's
how I build a culture, I would say Brene Brown, Dare to Lead.
Oh, that's a great book. Oh,
Yeah,
that is a great book.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that one. And if
Mhm.
you could share one piece of advice with a founder that is listening right now and they're out there trying to build their brand to break through, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give that founder?
I would say stay rooted every day in your why. In why are you doing this, right? Because that can get lost. You can get lost in it, right? And you can get lost in the operating and all of that. And so if you really stay rooted in why you're doing it, I think it allows you to really protect your culture, right? And allows you to build something genuinely that you want to build. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be it.
that is great. So, Danielle, where can more people, because I'm sure people are going to have questions on so many levels. They're going to want to order buckets after this. So, where can people find out more information about you and Topsail Steamer?
Yep. So you can go to our website, topsailsteamer.com. You guys will hear me say Topsail because that's how you pronounce it in this area. But for spelling's sake, it's Topsail, SAIL, steamer.com. And that's where you can find all about the different buckets. There's great videos. There's information on franchising there if it's something that you're interested in learning about. And then we also have a really, if you go on Instagram or Facebook, the fun thing is that customers are constantly posting their pictures and videos of their experience, so you can get a really good idea and look at what it looks like. And that's, Topsail Steamer on both of those as well.
I love that. Topsail Steamer, spelled like a sail. It's all good.
That's right.
Danielle, it has been great having you at the, today. And thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, your great leadership lessons. And I am confident that people took notes all through this. And wow, if they take away this idea of disciplined optimism, finding the opportunities and the obstacles, staying resilient, but most importantly, staying rooted in your why. They've just been given some amazing leadership lessons to not only keep going, but to keep growing. So thank you so much for taking the time and the generosity of your leadership and the spirit of, your entrepreneurial drive to take Topsail as the national brand, the national seafood brand. I think it's going to be exciting. It's exciting to see it now, and it'll be an exciting journey to continue to be a part of. And we're really looking forward to having you as a featured speaker at the Founderology Growth Summit. So thank you so much for everything today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I cannot wait to be at Founderology. It's going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing. Yeah. And for everyone that's been listening, hey, keep listening and make sure you took a lot of notes from here. Check us out on the website. Check us out on fastcasual.com, iHeart, Spotify. We are here for you, and we are here to continue to support you as you continue to build your brands to break through. Thank you so much, and go out there and have a great day and keep growing.